This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
.45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Mallavarachi, assisted by Sanjay, and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe meets Singapore's President. 2 new fertilizer mixtures introduced. Over 60,000 families in 15 districts are facing severe shortage of water due to the prevailing drought. The Met Department issues advisory for increased temperatures in several districts. Sri Lanka's national inflation dropped to 4.6% in June. Foreign news, Ukrainian drone destroys Russian supersonic bomber. In sports, National Sports Festival to be held on a grand scale. News in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has met with Singapore's President Halimah Yacob yesterday at the Istana in Singapore. In a note on her official Facebook page, President Yacob said that the two leaders had fruitful discussions covering topics including food security, renewable energy and regional economic cooperation. The President also held a discussion with Defence Minister Nen Yen Hen on geopolitical developments and the significance of the regional stability. President Wickremesinghe left for a 2-day official visit to Singapore yesterday, along with a series of significant meetings planned, including discussions with Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and Sustainability and Environment Minister Grace Fu Hai Yen. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka and Singapore are to sign an MOU on decarbonisation during the President's visit. The government-owned Ceylon Fertilizer Company introduced 2 new mixed TSP and TDM fertilizer yesterday at Ceylon Fertilizer Company premises, Hunupitiya, Wattala. These 2 new fertilizer mixtures were introduced with the participation of Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaravira, and simultaneously several types of mixed fertilizers that are available at low prices for coconut, cinnamon and other plantation crops were also introduced. The minister said that the government has decided to withdraw from the responsibility of supplying fertilizer from the next Maha season, and that the money required for the purchase of fertilizers will be credited to the farmers' accounts. The Department of Irrigation requests the public to use water sparingly due to the current dry weather conditions. It further says the water level of 62 tanks in the country has reduced to 50%. The water level of 14 tanks in the country has reduced to below 10%. Those tanks are located in the districts of Anuradhapura, Hambantota, Kurunegala and Mana. The remaining usable volume of water available in the tanks is 28% of its capacity. The Disaster Management Centre says that over 60,000 families in 15 districts across the island are facing severe shortage of water due to the prevailing drought. Over 200,000 people suffer from lack of drinking water. Northern and eastern provinces are the most affected by the drought. 23,603 families in the northern province and 18,951 families in the eastern province are suffering. The centre further mentioned that action is being taken to provide drinking water to the public through water bowsers and other means. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Meteorology Department says that the heat index, the temperature felt on the human body, is expected to increase up to the caution level at some places in the northern, north-central, eastern and the Ua province and in the Hambantota district. The heat index forecast is calculated by using relative humidity and maximum temperature, and this is a condition that is felt on the body. This is not the forecast of maximum temperature. It is generated by the Meteorology Department for the next day and prepared by using global numerical weather prediction model data. However, the Meteorology Department has advised the members of the public to stay hydrated, take breaks and shade in the shade as often as possible, check up on the elderly and the sick, limit strenuous outdoor activities, find shade and wear lightweight and white or light-colored clothing. Sri Lanka's national-wide price inflation fell to 4.6% in 12 months to July 2023, with food prices deflating 2.5% over the year. Data from the State Statistics Office showed that the National Consumer Price Index fell 6.2% over the month of July. The National Consumer Price Index, an alternative to the widely watched Colombo Consumer Price Index, fell 0.7% over the month of July to 201.9 points. The index is unchanged from September 2022, when the country started to run balance of payment surpluses, indicating that the central bank had not created any inflation in the period. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The sixth monetary policy for this year will be announced on Thursday, August 24th, the central bank said. The Monetary Board of the central bank began relaxing the country's ultra-tight monetary policy in June by delivering a 250 basis policy rate cut, which was followed by another 200 basis policy rate cut in July. Meanwhile, in early August, CB slashed banks' reserve requirement, or the statutory reserve ratio, by 200 basis points to accelerate the reduction in lending rates in the economy. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Live is brought to you by
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
In Watchlight this morning, 2 inmates at the Galle prison have died and several others have been hospitalized due to an unidentified illness, the prisons department said. The prison spokesman said that 5 inmates have also been admitted to the Karapiti hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, the prisons department has taken measures to wear face masks in the prison as a safety measure to protect against the unidentified epidemic, while a probe is underway to identify the infection. And that came to you in Watchlight.
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
World News Headlines. Ukrainian drone destroys Russian supersonic bomber. Mayor says 850 still missing after Maui fires. And flash flooding and record rainfall batters California. A flagship Russian long-range bomber has been destroyed in a Ukraine drone strike, according to reports. Images posted on social media and analyzed by BBC Verify show a Tupolev Tu-22 on fire at Solsty 2 airbase south of St. Petersburg. Moscow said that a drone was hit by small arms fire but managed to damage a plane. Ukraine has not commented. The Tu-22 can travel at twice the speed of sound and has been used extensively by Russia to attack cities in Ukraine. Some 850 people are still missing after the devastating wildfire in Maui. Country Mayor Richard Besson has said over 1,200 people who had been on the list of those missing have been found safe. Mr. Bisson said on Monday, warning numbers are expected to fluctuate. 114 people are confirmed to have died. President Joe Biden is scheduled to visit the island for the first time since the deadly fire swept through earlier this month. An intense system of weather is barreling through Southern California, where 26 million people are under flood warnings. Tropical Storm Hillary caused heaviest hour of rain ever recorded in Palm Springs, officials say. Hillary has since been downgraded to a post-tropical cyclone and is now heading north to Nevada. A state of emergency has been declared by California's governor, while President Joe Biden has ordered in federal aid. Back to the headlines of the world news. Ukrainian drone destroys Russian supersonic bomber. Mayor says 850 still missing after Maui fires. And flash flooding and record rainfall batters California. That ends World News.
Development News is brought to you by
Job opportunities from Deshakti Lanka in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, including company housemaid, salary 156,000 rupees, 23 to 57 years. Contact 037 7500 500.
In development news, Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaravira said 503,000 hectares have been planted in the Yala season and there is no possibility of a rice shortage even though 100,000 acres of crop loss has been reported. The 503,000 hectares of paddy has been cultivated this Yala season. Although a very high yield was expected in the Yala season due to the drought that has affected the country, it can be assumed that around 50,000 acres of crops have been damaged. However, studies conducted by the Agriculture Department have confirmed that many fields that have been harvested have high yields. And that was development news.
Job opportunities for women from Deshakti Lanka in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Oman. Company housemaids, caretakers and home cooks in Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews are now on with foreign agents. You can now travel overseas free of charge. Branches Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 037 7500 500. Deshakti Lanka Foreign Development Agency.
Sports news. All arrangements have been finalized to conduct the 47th National Sports Festival on the 24th, 25th and the 26th of this month at the Sugatadasa Stadium in Colombo. The Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs together with Department of Sports Development is conducting the mega event. The opening ceremony under the patronage of the Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena will take place at 3 p.m. on the 24th of this month, while the closing ceremony will be held under the patronage of the President of Sri Lanka, Ranil Wickremesinghe, at 3 p.m. on the 26th of this month. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyamata set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship ekata menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Sri Lanka's rupee closed at 323 rupees and 50 cents to 324 rupees to 50 cents to the US dollar on Monday, after closing on Friday's close at 323 rupees and 324 rupees to the US dollar, dealers said. And that was business news.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyamata set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship ekata menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, State Minister Shahan Semasinghe says that the government is prioritizing in attending to the state revenue and expenditure in uplifting the economy. Developing the small-scale and medium-scale industries is also emphasized. Uplifting the economy is not an easy task. However, the government has done its best to establish the trust bestowed on it by the foreign countries. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
A few showers will occur in the western and Sabragama provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the eastern and the Uva provinces and in the Mullaitivu district during the evening or night. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. Fairly strong winds, about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills, the North Central and the Northwestern provinces and in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this news broadcast, the headlines once again. President Ranil Wickremesinghe meets Singapore's president. 2 new fertilizer mixtures introduced. Over 60,000 families in 15 districts are facing severe shortage of water due to the prevailing drought. The Met Department issues advisory for increased temperature in several districts. Sri Lanka's national inflation dropped to 4.6% in June. Foreign news. Ukrainian drone destroys Russian supersonic bomber. In sports, National Sports Festival to be held on a grand scale. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.